So the first peoples of Kentucky, number 12. Alright. So, list of questions, right? Question 71. According to A New History of Kentucky on page 94, what percentage of the total slain in the War of 1812 did Kentuckians represent? How many of the people who died in the War of 1812 were Kentuckians? What percentage of those who had died were actually Kentuckians? The British never invaded Kentucky, so don't forget about that too. So, question 72. What state's Capitol building was burnt down by unknown vandals in 1815, during right after the War of 1812 and 1824? There was a Capitol building of some state that was burnt down by unknown vandals. Who burned it down? Nobody knows. What state was that? Question 73. Who is Chief Roundhead? Okay, Chief Roundhead. We know Chief Doublehead is a Cherokee chief that said that white people tasted salty, right? But this isn't Doublehead. This is Roundhead. Okay, Doublehead, two head. Roundhead is just a circular head, kind of like Charlie Brown. But I don't know if is that circle or oval. Anyways, why did Chief Roundhead murder his brother Leather Lips? Okay, so you got Chief Roundhead. Who is he? And then he murdered his brother, Leather Lips. Why did he do that? Question 75. Who are the three tribes in the alliance of the Council of the Three Fires? The Ottawa... Oh, okay. Well, that's one of the answers, right? So there's three tribes in the alliance of the Council of the Three Fires, right? So there's three tribes that was all together in the alliance of the Council of the Three Fires. What were those Native American tribes called? Question 76. Of those three, which one was known as the youngest brother? Okay, so they had their own personalities, and one of them was considered the younger brother. Question 77. Which tribes did the Shawnee consider their uncles? Now, I've actually heard that the same tribe is considered their grandfathers. So some people are saying that this tribe is the Shawnee uncles or the grandfather. Either way, it's like an older man, right? It's an older, wiser man that they sort of defer to for wisdom and judgment. Question 77. Which tribes did the Shawnee consider their uncles? I just said that. Question 78. The Lenape, Delaware, the Cherokee, Choctaw, Iroquois, and the Navajo were all matrilineal tribes. What's matrilineal? What's that even mean? Question 79. Which one of the 5 divisions of the Shawnee was Tecumseh a member of? We all know Tecumseh was a Shawnee, but which of the 5 divisions of the Shawnee was he a member of? What does the name Tecumseh mean? What's the name even mean? Question 81. How many Shawnee were in Kentucky in 1750? 1750. So you had Harrodsburg or Harrodstown was established in 1774, the first white establishment in 1774, which is going to be 24 years later. In 1750, you had Shawnee in Kentucky. How many Shawnee were actually in Kentucky? And this is according to Harrison and Clotter, The New History of Kentucky, right? So, question 71. According to the New History of Kentucky, page 94, what percentage of the total slain in the War of 1812 did Kentuckians represent? 64%. So even though the British never invaded Kentucky, the Kentuckians had supplied most of those who were going to die in the War of 1812. What was the point of the War of 1812? Nobody really knows. Really, it was just to show off in front of Great Britain. It was to take more Indian lands. The Canada, I think they were fighting over Canada, but British want to hold on to Canada. That's part of it, right? But really, it was, I think the British had burnt down the White House in the War of 1812, so that's something to remember. But the British had burnt down the White House, so it was the Great Britain who was mad about their colonists who overthrew them coming back to subjugate them and subdue them, which is unfortunate because actually there was wars that was going on between Great Britain and France. France has their glorious revolution, and they were still, well, we don't want to choose sides. The British are the ones that you all had killed and overthrown, okay? So why would you not? You should have sided with the French revolutionaries. You also should have sided with the Haitian revolutionaries too. But America says we got a revolution going on. Who cares about everybody else's revolution? And you know, France actually helped us with our revolution. We didn't help France And the Haitian people, there was one of the presidents of the Haitian of the Haitian people were fighting in the revolution. So I forget which one it was. I think it was like the third president of Haiti was actually like just a boy or whatever, 15-year-old, maybe even a drummer. I think he got injured too. But they helped us in our revolution, but we didn't. We actually with Haiti we tried to stop their revolution. So is this really a revolution? Is that really what we're talking about? Simon Gertie says that it's not a revolution. It's only to steal Indian land. That's all they care about. Land, land. Malcolm X says that's the reason why you have all these conflicts and revolutions throughout history is because of land. Land equals power. When you get some land, you can build your wealth up. Okay. So 64%, that's an enormous amount of Kentuckians who had died for a war which really we did not need to be involved with. It was to steal more land afterwards. And it also shows how Kentucky was integral. It was very much pivotal in the War of 1812. Question 72. What state's capital was burnt down by unknown vandals in 1815, right after the War of 1812 and 1824? That's Kentucky's, right? This is the first peoples of Kentucky. And the reason why I put that in is because it could have been the Native Americans, right? We don't know who actually burned it down. It's the Frankfort's right on the Kentucky River. Kentucky, that's the dark and bloody river. It's possible, right? Anything's possible. Question 73, who is Chief Roundhead? So Chief Roundhead, a.k.a. Bart Carrier, a.k.a. Roundhead, a.k.a. Stay-Yegetha, a.k.a. Stiatha. He's a Wyandot chief, and he was part of Tecumseh's Confederacy. Chief Roundhead commanded a coalition of Indian tribes against the white Kentuckians to success in the Battle of Frenchtown, a.k.a. the Battle of River Raisin. So you had about 8 prominent Kentuckians who had died in the Battle of Frenchtown, and then we named Kentucky counties after them. That was to sort of honor those who had been slain and who had fell. The Battle of Frenchtown, that was they called it the massacre of the River Raisin massacre. But really, the Kentuckians had actually gone all the way up to Monroe, Michigan, in order to attack them. And then Chief Roundhead organizes all these Native Americans, a vast coalition of about 10 Native American tribes. Miami and Shawnee, definitely, probably Ottawa, Chippewa, Potawatomis, some of these that we've been seeing over and over again, Kickapoo. So Chief Roundhead was the commander of that battle, okay? I want to say Walk in the Water was probably too, but I don't want to put that down. I think he might have been, he's a Wyandot chief, so specifically Chief Roundhead is a Wyandot chief, and I think Walk in the Water was a Wyandot chief too. So Chief Roundhead died with Tecumseh at the Battle of Thames, October 5th, 1813. So he's the Wyandot chief who led the coalition against the Kentuckians at the Battle of Frenchtown. This is War of 1812. And then eventually he dies with Tecumseh at the Battle of Thames, October 5th, 1813. So those are two actually main things with the War of 1812. Tecumseh gets killed. It should be Tecumseh's war, really. Because he's the main figure, and then once he's dead, then that gives Robert Mentor Johnson a legacy that he becomes vice president, right? He gives him a political legacy since he said he personally killed him. And then the White House was burnt down in the War of 1812. Question 74: why did Chief Roundhead murder his brother Leather Lips? Because of witchcraft and for being a pale-faced lover. Some people say that the witchcraft claims were exaggerated because of the politics, okay? The politics, he embraced the white settlers too much. But that was the reasons given for witchcraft and being a pale-faced lover, which is the Tenskwatawa, the Shawnee prophet, is the one that had said these things. So Leather Lips was a member of the Porcupine clan of the Wyandots. Leather Lips cooperated with the white imperialist invading colonizers by signing Mad Anthony Wayne's Treaty of Greenville. Okay, so we've seen some people sign the Treaty of Greenville before. He had smashed them sort of into compliance. But the people were really mad at Leather Lips for actually conceding to it, because not only did he sign the Treaty of Greenville, which gives up the Ohio country and the Northwest Territory, Northwest Indian Territory, he also sells Native American land to William Henry Harrison, a known Indian killer, right? So, Tensk Wadawa, the Shawnee prophet, Tecumseh's brother, condemned Leather Lips to death. He says, you got to die. And that's when you had Chief Roundhead, who headed that council, which eventually sends 6 Wyandot warriors to tomahawk Leather Lips to death at the Olentangy Indian Caverns, which is north of Dublin, Ohio, and south of Delaware, Ohio. So that's why he murdered his brother, because of witchcraft and because he loved the white people too much. He sold land to William Henry Harrison, and he signed the Treaty of Greenville. Question 75. Who are the 3 tribes in the alliance of the Council of the Three Fires? The Ottawa, Chippewa, and the Potawatomi. So they stick together, okay? So in a way, that's almost sort of like an Iroquois Confederacy. You got 3 different nations, but they're all one nation. So you had the Ottawa, Chippewa, Potawatomi, who are their own distinct groups, but together they are the alliance of the Council of the Three Fires. So they were the 3 fires. 76 of those 3, which one was known as the youngest brother? The Potawatomi were known as the youngest brother. So I don't know if that's just they haven't been around as much, or what the implications of the youngest brother would be. They have to take care of them, and they're supposed to, give them wisdom. The Ottawa and Chippewa are supposed to have more wisdom or something, but I don't know. The Potawatomi were known as the youngest brother when the Council of the Three Fires of Ottawa, Chippewa, and Potawatomi. So when they were all together, Potawatomi were the little brothers. Question 77. Which tribes did the Shawnee consider their uncles or their grandfathers? That's the Lenape. That's the Otonim of the Delaware. The Delaware would be the the names that people give. Let's see, what is it? You got the Otonim, and then you have the exonym. The Otonim and the exonym. That's a good question. What's the difference between an Otonym and an exonym? But the exonym was the Delaware. That's not their name. That's what the enemies called them. But they called themselves the Lenape, and that's what we should call them. Just like the Dakotas, the Meskwaki, and the Ho-Chunks. Okay, the Meskwaki is the Fox, Dakota, Lakota, Sioux, and the Ho-Chunks were the Winnebago. These are the names that other people had given them. That's their exonyms, but they're autonyms. Otto, one, me, autocratic, right? Ruled by one person. Their autonym, what they named themselves, was the Ho-Chunk people, the Dakota people, Lakota people, the Meskwaki, and the Lenape. And the Lenape were the grandfathers to the Shawnee, or the uncles, right? They were like an older male figure. Question 78. The Lenape, Cherokee, Choctaw, Iroquois, and the Navajo were all matrilineal. Now, the Cherokee are the only ones I recognize in this that comes out of Kentucky. But it's interesting that several of the tribes were matrilineal, right? And matrilineal just means that a person identifies themselves with their mother's tribe. So it's kind of like the name, right? The ancestral peoples of their mothers is who they go along with. So if if the daughter had married somebody, then the man would go into their tribe. Because it's sort of the opposite, right? With American, like my mother's ancestors are Gripshovers, but the Gripshover name was carried by men, so it's actually a patrilineal sort of designation with the Gripshovers, with my ancestors, even though it's on my mother's side, which I identify with, so it starts out to be matrilineal, but the Gripshover name passed from, man to son to grandson and on. So matrilineal means that a person belongs to a certain group through their mother's ancestors, and matrilineality can involve inheritance of property or titles. So the king or the chief can pass on, or she, the queen, can pass on her titles and her nobility and her property to whoever she wants to. So it also sort of points to a matriarchal society where the women were the rulers and the men were sort of doing what the women had wanted to do. Question 79. Which one of the 5 divisions of the Shawnee was Tecumseh a member of? Since Shawnee lineage was recorded paternally, it was not matrilineal. It's patrilineal, I guess. I don't know what the male counterpart is, but it was the Tecumseh is a member of the Kispoco clan. Okay, and actually there's like Kispoco, Ohio. There's a city. And that's where they had, I saw some of them that said his father was born in Kispoco and his mother was born in Kispoco, Ohio. But he's a member of the Kispoco clan. There's 5 divisions of the Shawnee, and they were part of the Kispoco clan. That's who Tecumseh was. What does Tecumseh mean? What's his name mean? It means panther in the sky. So think Black Panthers, flying through the sky, right? Panther in the sky. I think there was some sort of a meteor shower or something that had happened when he was born. And then also eclipse. He had predicted an eclipse would happen, and it made him seem like he had these mythical, magical qualities when he was able to predict it. Question 81, how many Shawnee were in Kentucky in 1750? 3,000 to 4,000 Shawnee. You had 3,000 to 4,000 Shawnee people in Kentucky in 1750. Where did the 3,000 to 4,000 Shawnee go within a span of 20-something years? Supposedly there was no permanent settlements, but 3,000 or 4,000 Shawnee says that there were plenty of permanent settlements. If somebody says that there was no permanent settlements in Kentucky, just point out Esquipakithiki, point out Shinoa, and point out Alwani. Okay, Alwani, Shinoa, and Esquipakithiki. Right? So Alwani, Shinoa, Esquipakithiki. I'm not for sure where Alwani was. It's Ahwahnnee. That's I want to say that was in Irvine, Kentucky. And then the Shinoa, that was on the lower Scioto River. It was on both sides, Kentucky and the Ohio River. And then Esquipakithiki, which is in Clark County, present-day Clark County, which is named after George Rogers Clark, who was like the great conqueror of the Northwest, right? Just went around, just like John J. Hardin, just killing whatever Shawnee people he wanted, burned down Shawnee villages, burned their crops, terrorized the shit out of them. A scorched earth campaign. People want to say William Tecumseh Sherman is the one that started total warfare. That's not true. The white people started total warfare. In fact, if you go back to the Pequot War, the Pequot War is where Thanksgiving comes from, and the Pequot War is when the British colonists wiped all the Pequot out. There was no warriors in this village. The warriors were out, you know, hunting or looking for them, right? And then they had old men, women, and children who were still in the village. And the brave Englishmen, the original colonists, the Puritans, right? They went ahead and they killed them all. They killed them all, and they burned the whole town down, and they killed everybody. And they keep on doing this. You had George Rogers Clark, scorched earth campaign, kills everybody. You have George Washington with the Iroquois in New York, and then in Ohio, right, the Northwest Indian campaign. So he's just total warfare, right? Get off our land, even though they had been here the whole time. So how many Shawnee were in Kentucky in 1750? 3,000 to 4,000. So not only were there established villages here, but there was a ton, thousands, 3,000 to 4,000 Shawnee people here. You know, plus how many millions others, right? You also had the Yuchi, the Cherokee, the Chickasaw, the Creek, and I've mentioned about 20 of them before. So go watch the first video if you want to find out like how many. Or look at the answers on video 9 to answer question number 1, and to find out all the tribes that actually can stake some type of claim. And there's about 20-something tribes that can stake some type of claim in Kentucky. So to say that the Kentucky was just barren, it was plush. It had water, it had streams, more waterways than any other state except for Alaska. You got trees, forest, creeks, Indian or deer, right? White-tailed deer, buffalo. So lots of game, lots of things to eat, lots of berries, lots of wildlife. There's salt mines, lots of resources here. So to anybody to try to claim that Kentucky was uninhabited when the white people came in here, that's a total crock. Harrison and Clotter, actually I got it out of his book. He concludes that there was no, you know, permanent settlements, but he didn't understand the Shawnee way of life. They would have permanent settlements for the summertime when they could raise crops, and then they would pick up and sort of hunt through the winter and then go back to their land during the summer. So Harrison and Clotter, even though he says that there were no permanent settlements, if you read through the first chapter, he says so much evidence to the contrary, including that statistic. 3,000 to 4,000 Shawnee were actually in Kentucky when Daniel Boone and James Harrod and the rest of the clan decided to steal their land for themselves. So, first peoples of Kentucky.